go.
Mm-hmm. Ready? Yeah.
Sure. Hine matov umanahim, Hine matov umanahim, shehevet achim gam yachad. How good, how sweet, when we live in peace. How good, how sweet, when we live in peace. Everyone, everywhere, round the world. Hine mahatov umanahim, Hine mahatov umanahim, shehevet ahim gam yachad. How good, how sweet, when we live in peace. How good, how sweet, when we live in peace. Everyone, everywhere, round the world. Hine matov umanahim, Hine matov umanahim.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
I know many of you are probably getting used to me and my face. I'm Chase Foster, the senior rabbi here at Temple Kol Emeth, of course, with Blake Singer. And tonight we're going to be joined, at least for part of the service, by, who are you? You have a microphone?
Riley Atkins.
Riley Atkins. Any like an interesting fact or two about yourself, Riley?
I'm good at math.
You're good at math. Great. So when we call out a page number, if you need to know how many pages away you are, just ask Riley. She'll help you out. How many pages are there between page 44 and 42? 44 minus 42. Boom. Say it into the microphone. How many pages?
2.
Beautiful. So we're going to continue now with also, sometimes if our words have English that are not in the prayer book itself, you'll find them on the back of your Friday flyer. I know we have a handful of people who this is their first evening here at Temple Kol Emeth. Really nice, beautiful, intimate setting as the wind blew some of us in and maybe blew a few people at home. So I'm sure there's many of you who are at home on live stream. We're grateful that you're joining us. We'll continue now with Or Zarua, Light is Sown for the Righteous, which is on page 14 on the bottom.
Or Zaruach, Lat Sadiq, Urishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zaruach, Lat Sadiq, Urishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zaruach, Lat Sadiq, Urishrei Lev Simcha. Urishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zaruach, Lat Sadiq, Urishrei Lev Simcha. Urishrei Lev Simcha. La 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 Lat Sadiq, Urishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zaruach, Lat Sadiq, Urishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zaruach, Lat Sadiq, Urishrei Lev Simcha. Urishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zaruach, Lat Sadiq, Urishrei Lev Simcha. Urishrei Lev Simcha. La 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la la.
the coldest time of year, the shortest days, the longest nights, and this week we get to bring a lot of light into our lives as we kick off Hanukkah on Wednesday evening. And many of us are preparing and thinking about latkes and frying sufganiyot and family time and all those types of things that are happening this evening or this week. But tonight, Shabbat, we get just a little bit of light, a little bit of extra warmth with the lighting of our Shabbat candles. Does anyone want a little bit of extra warmth and want to come join me to light our Shabbat candles? Feel free if you want to come join me to light the Shabbat candles. I don't bite. Riley does, so just keep your hand away from her mouth. See, now that you're here, I can make these jokes with you instead of me. Anyone want to come join? Awesome. Sandy and Paula.
Oh, hear my prayer, I sing to you. Be gracious to the ones I love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear my prayer to you. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Lahadodi on page 20.
Yes, and we'll do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9 on page 20. And when we get to verse 9, we will rise and face the entrance.
And if you were here last weekend, you'll have heard this melody that Michelle Citron shared with us. Do 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 Lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Shamur v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmianu elcham yuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shemu tiferet v'tidila. Lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mikorecha beraka, mirosh mikedem nesucha, sof machaseh b'machshavat tekila. Lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lechadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Itoreri, itoreri, ipaoreku miurim, uri, 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 shidaberi, kivod Adonai adalik nila. Adodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat Nikabela, Lech Adodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat Nikabela. Na na na, na na na, na na na, na na na. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'alam, Kam v'simcha u'tzroch olam, Toch emunei am segula, Boi kala, boi kalam. Lech hadodi, likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikabela, Lech hadodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat nikabela.
We've welcomed Shabbat with candles. We welcome Shabbat with a beautiful song. Take a moment, someone around you, if there's a new face, introduce yourself, and wish them a Shabbat Shalom.
You know me.
Hi, Chase Foster. Nice to meet you. So we'll continue now with Reader's Kaddish on page 26. I know those of you who got comfortable, please rise again. I know we'll get you seated soon. Don't worry.
Yit Gadol v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yama divrach Rutei, v'yamlik malchutei, b'chayekon uv'yomechon, u'chayedech kol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala, ba'agala, uv'yizman kahariv, v'miru, amen. Yeshmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam olam me'almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabat, v'yitbar, v'yitramam, v'yinaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalahal, shemei kudesha brichu, le'olam im kol berchata v'shihirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Dahamihiran v'alma, v'miru, amen.
Page 28 for our call to worship. Baruch Hu.
La 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai, Amivorach. Baruch Adonai, Amivorach, Amivorach, Leolam Va'ed. Amivorach, Amivorach, Leolam Va'ed.
Page 36 for Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Leolam Vahed.
You may be seated. Continue on the back of our Friday flyer.
And you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart, shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and when you rise up, and you shall bind them for a sign upon your hands, and they shall be for frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house, and upon your gates, and upon your gates, that you may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
We turn now to page 40 from Michamocha. Riley, do you know anything about Michamocha? You got like a factoid or anything in your head about it?
I don't know.
You don't know? That's a good thing to say, because we don't say that enough in our lives, that we don't know something. We like to always be right, and as someone who's always right, you can ask my wife. It's okay sometimes to be able to say I don't know. So there's a lot we can say about Michamocha. One thing I will say that I think I mentioned last week, it's that time of year for Hanukkah that there's a tradition that the first four words, Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai, is an acrostic for Maccabee. Mem, Chaf, Bet, Yud. Maccabee. And so there is this belief in this tradition when we evoke that, especially in this time of year around Hanukkah, that this song of freedom from our tradition, from the Song of the Sea, from that moment of first feeling freedom out of Exodus, that we are kind of bringing that moment of joy into the joy of the rededication of the temple in the beautiful story of Hanukkah.
And we have another melody from Michelle. So
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'edabar kodesh norah tehilot, osei felech, norah tehilot, osei felech. Mi chamocha Uvanecha, Okei Hayam, Livnei Moshe, Ze'eli, Anu v'Yamiru, Zadonai, Imloch Le'olam Vahed, Mikamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mikamocha ne'edabar kodesh, Norah tehilot, osei felech, Norah tehilot, osei felech. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya ya la la la, ya la 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 la.
We turn the page now. Hashkivenu. Page 42. Good call. Thank you. I would have forgotten to call the page. You looked on our outline. Boom. Thank you. Hashivenu, this beautiful prayer of comfort in the evening. And again, I don't know. I just like, these are the days where like you just want to like cuddle up with a blanket or sit in the fifth row in your bubble coat. That's fine too. Like whichever is more comforting for you. But this time of this idea of what brings us comfort, and for us, this idea, this prayer Hashkivenu, as we get ready for bed soon in the next couple of hours for all of us, this idea of having a good night's sleep and being able to wake up tomorrow refreshed and renewed for another day.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom Hamideinu Shomrenu L'Chayim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom Hamideinu Shomrenu L'Chayim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom Hamideinu Shomrenu L'Chayim.
What's next?
Page 44. Veshamru.
Anything we need to know about Vishamru?
There's some tricks and twirls in it, and so first you spin, and then you jump up in the air, and then you sit back down. You don't have to do it if you don't want to do.
Can you say into the microphone what you do? There's a little bit of a spin, and then you said you took the microphone away. People can't always hear that. Say one more time. There's a
First you spin, then you jump.
And then?
You sit down. And then you just sing the prayer. That's basically
Yeah, what she said. Page 44.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat Lasot et Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat Lasot et Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. B'ni uvein b'nei Yisrael oti leolam. Oti leolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat Lasot et Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim et haaretz Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'doratam Berith Olam Uv'hayom HaShvi'i Shabbat Vayinafash Shabbat Vayinafash Shabbat Vayinafash Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'doratam Berith Olam Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat L'doratam Berith Olam.
Did you 2 spins that time?
On accident, but
That's fancy. I like it.
thank you for the people who tried, and I'm talking to you over there with that brown shirt on.
Wait, I can call people out from up here? Oh, that's dangerous for me to know. We'll continue now with the Amidah, the central portion of our prayer service. We'll pray together pages 46, 48, 50, and then we will do page 52 is in our Friday flyers. We'll stand up. Vivian, thank you. Don't worry, we'll all please rise now. After we pray those 4 prayers together, we'll give you an opportunity for silent reflection, either the prayers of your heart or the prayers of your prayer book, after which you may be seated. Page 46.
Adonai Sifatai Tivtak Ufia Gita Hilatecha Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Hasei Avot V'imachod, Umevi Gula Lifnei V'nehem, L'ma'an Shemo B'Yakava, Melech Otzer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Zrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atarav L'Koshia, Mashif HaRuach HaMorid HaGashem, Mechalkel Hayim B'Chesed, Mechaye HaKol B'Rakamim Rabim, Soholech V'Oflim V'Rofech Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekahaye Memunato, Lishenei Ahafar, Micha Mocha Ba'agevurot, Umido Mehelach, Melech Meimit Umekahaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanata V'chayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekaye HaKol. Atah Kadosh, V'shimcha Kadosh, Ukdoshim B'kol Yom, Ya'alelucha Selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh, you are holy, and your name is holy. Those who strive to be holy, declare your glory day by day. Blessed is our God, blessed is the one, O world ablaze with splendor. Ata kadosh, v'shimcha kadosh, ukdoshim b'kol yom, ya'aleluka selah. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We are gifts and we are blessings. We are history in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. Ledor vador nagid God lecha. Ledor vador we protect this chain. From generation to generation. Ledor vador these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our heart, from the shadows of the mountains to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your way. And the words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to say. Ledor vador nagid God lecha. Ledor vador we protect this chain. From generation to generation. Ledor vador these lips will praise your name.
We're going to turn now to page 253. So we take a moment for prayers for healing. Misha Berach, this timeless melody, I mean, it was only written like 40 years ago or 50 years ago, and yet somehow it's like, I don't know, in our kishkas, in who we are, in our souls. In our community, we think of all of those who are in need of healing of mind, of body, and of spirit. We're thinking of Harvey Adelsky and Sherry Alexander, Rabbi Daniel Alter, Gary Atkins, Jack Berger, Betty Berlin, Yvonne Binns, Lynn Birmingham, John Joseph Casey, Bruce Cohen, Isidore Cohen, Nicholas Catrone, Mary Davis, Stephen Despins, Mitch Earl, Connie Erb, Carrie Ehrlich, Greg Fine, Aaron and Roz Feingold, Margaret Fogel, Lauren Friedman, Max Gans, Nancy Gay, Margie Glazer, Tom Gorgon, Helene Graboff, Rick Hack, George Campbell Hamilton, Jason Hankins, Ed Harris, Frederick Herman, Doug Hyland, James Hurst, Laura Jacoby, Leah Jason, Maria Javier, Linda Jenkins, Shannon Jenkins, John Jenkins, Jackie Capstein, Cindy Levine, Marcia Levy, Gary Levy, Brenda Lewis, Dorothy London, Lisa Macklin, Larry M. Melnick, Paul Melnick, Esther Mitchell, Lowell Moreau, Alice Navarre, Simone Neiman, Myrna Netkin, Arthur Newman, Joyce Newman, Lynn Prisant, Kathy Rasnick, Deborah Rowan, Norman Rosenblatt, Ella Rosenblit, Sherry Rosenblum, Barry Savage, Lisa Schaefer, Brian Schneider, Nancy Shallett, Randy Shapiro, Shimon Ben Shmuel, Nicole Aronson Silverman, David Skolny, Arthur Slutza, Mike Steele, Randy Suchke, Charlene Venner, Keith West, Dr. Walter Wolf. If there are any other names of loved ones you'd like to add to our community's prayers this evening, please, you may do so at this time. Middle of page 253.
Mishe be'era avotenu mekor habracha le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe be'era imotenu mekor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Do you want to stand here while I, talk a lot, or do you want to go sit down? And she rightfully, you want to stand? You can go sit down. It's okay. I was gonna go. Yeah, you can go. It's okay. I was gonna go walk around a little bit. So I think I've had a very universal experience like 3 or 4 weeks ago that I think I'll kind of give you the general framing, and I'll looking forward to seeing some head nods that like you've kind of experienced this. So I was at my high school reunion the week before Thanksgiving, so somewhere between a month and an eternity ago when this happened. And I'm catching up with all of my friends who I haven't seen in X number of decades. And all of a sudden someone says, do you remember that time that and you start talking about it and you're trying to like pull back all the bits and pieces, and I remembered a thing or two that they didn't quite remember, but they remembered a few things that I didn't quite remember. We kind of sort of had like crafted together this like image of this fun time that we're kind of remembering a few decades later. Does that feel somewhat familiar? Like you've all kind of been in that situation with friends or family, and I have to imagine at Thanksgiving for sure your family sharing family stories, and I'm sure over the next few weeks in this holiday season and Hanukkah at home, and at whatever other holidays that some of your family might be celebrating in the coming weeks, and with the New Year's, that you spend some time doing some reminiscing and trying to piece together a story that has bits and pieces that don't always kind of line up. And you end up with kind of these multiple narratives, these dual narratives, these side-by-side bits and pieces. We have 2 examples that I want to kind of sort of talk about tonight, one from our Torah portion and one for Hanukkah coming up to kind of give you a little bit of extra teaching heading into the holiday. So from our Torah portion this week, it's actually, I don't really need to tell most people the Torah portion, or at least the story of how this Torah portion kind of goes down, because all I really need to do is have a hypothetical, like, imaginary TV pop up, and Donny Osmond will pop up, and all of a sudden, we will have Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat will stand here, and we could have an entire musical about it. Blake will happily do that right now, and I'll just go sit down. Everyone have a nice Shabbat evening. Blake, you ready? No? Okay, got it. All right, I figured as much. So in this story, Joseph, who is the favorite child of his father Jacob, receives a Technicolor Dreamcoat. And his brothers don't like him for it. They sell him to slavery. Like, literally, this entire story happens in this Torah portion, the entire beautiful musical that many of us know. Now, I want to kind of pull out that one verse about the, Technicolor Dreamcoat from Torah. V'Yisrael ahav et Yosef mikol banav ki ben zchunim. So, and Yisrael, so hearkening back, so this is Jacob using his other name that he received in last week's Torah portion after wrestling with the Ish. So Jacob loved Joseph more than all of his sons because he was the son of his old age. Basically, he was kind of a miracle. He was the last. I don't know. There's a couple of different ways to kind of look at the son of his old age. And Hulo ve'asalo ketonet pasim. And so he gave him, or he made for him, a ketonet. That word shows up a lot in Torah. That's like an overcoat or something like that. So the coat part of Technicolor Dreamcoat we for sure have down. The hard word is the word pasim. The simple word pasim. Pasim at times is a sleeve. He gave him a coat with sleeves. How fancy is that? I've got one on right now. Nice. She has sleeves on too. How cool is that? So this is kind of a couple of different ways this is translated. So I pulled one translation just in front of me because he was this. He made for him a coat with long sleeves. Beautiful. So they're nice long sleeves. And why long sleeves? Because this pas sometimes is also like the palm of your hand, and so it goes all the way down. Sleeves go all the way to your hand. That's one way to look at it. Another translation will often call it like a quilted coat, because on the palm of our hands we have all of these beautiful marks that we can read, and just like that, just like kind of like a quilt, we have all of these marks on our hands, right? All the different lines and stuff that, I don't know, some people think you can read fortunes out of and stuff like that. Okay, that's not my cup of tea, but whatever. You do you. All right, all these types of lines, that can mean that it's like a quilted, beautiful coat. So there's nothing colorful about it, I guess. I don't know. There's like kind of reds and whites and blushes in my hand. Other people have different colors in their hand, I guess. But we get this idea of this beautiful coat that is made for Joseph. And so out of this, well, one translation of this weird word, we get this amazing, fantastic musical where Joseph has this beautiful coat, and there's literally a song that just goes on and on about the colors that are inside of it. Or we have this other idea of, he just kind of gets a nice little coat. Which again, I don't know, I guess his brothers didn't have long sleeves. They only got short sleeves or no sleeves. I don't know. But whatever it was something special. And the story continues, but we can now put in our minds two different kind of parallel tracks as to what happens in this story. Okay, is he walking around flaunting this like incredibly colorful coat? All right, when your friend walks in the room wearing that neon shirt, you tend to notice them. Do you ever wear a neon shirt? That's a no. Okay, cool. If you have to think about it that long, you know if you wear a neon shirt. Don't worry. Okay? On one side, it's kind of like very bright thing that kind of draws attention to you. The other is just, I don't know, a coat. And yet, there is something indeed deeply special about this in the way that he treated his brothers, and there's many other bits and pieces of that. So that's kind of one story. In our Torah portion, we have this idea of a lot of different ways to kind of translate this one moment that, again, does it affect the bigger narrative? Not so much. We get the greater picture. Just like in my high school moment with my friends. We have the general idea of the picture, some of the details a little fuzzy, but we kind of have these like multiple ways of getting to the same kind of endpoint. Now, one of my favorite things to teach about Hanukkah is that there are actually two stories of Hanukkah. Not one, there are two stories of Hanukkah. So, okay, Riley, what's the story of Hanukkah that you know?
So they only had enough oil for like not that many days, and for one day, and then
It lasted for how many days?
it lasted for 8 days, and 8 days that took people to get enough oil to last for the whole year.
Yes. So when the beautiful, that was a good point. So it's like miraculous story of the oil. That's when the Maccabees took out the Seleucid dynasty, the Greeks, the Macedonian Greeks who were kind of in rule. They found oil as they were kind of putting the temple back together, and that oil there was a miracle happened, and then that oil lasted for 8 days. This is the story that is told in the Talmud, Shabbat, page 21b, and it has all sorts of other ways that we kind of add embellishments to it, but that is the story from the Talmud, about 1,500 years ago. Now, about 6 or so centuries before that, we have the books of Maccabees, the books of the Maccabees. Now, they weren't necessarily written by the Maccabees. They were probably written a century or so after. There's 4 books with different time periods and authors, and interesting, that's a whole different rabbit hole of scholarship that I don't mean to get into. But the book of the Maccabees that comes 6 centuries earlier actually tells a slightly different story. Okay, so we have the Maccabees, check. They fight off the Seleucid Empire. Okay, the Greeks, check. All right, so far so good. Kind of get to the same endpoint. They are putting the temple back together. They are doing God's work. The Maccabees themselves, they were a priestly caste, so they were religious zealots. They were taking back the temple so they could do their religious duties. And they put the temple back together, and they lit oil for 8 days. That's the story. What's missing from that story? The miracle. Where's the miracle? There wasn't one in the first story. Exactly, she says. There wasn't one in the first story. So why 8 days? Any smarty pantses who know the answer? So why 8 days? So, exactly. Because when they took the temple around this time of year in the Hebrew calendar, they thought to themselves, wow, we were kind of busy warring and doing the whole fighting thing. We kind of had to miss Sukkot, so let's do Sukkot. So they celebrated Sukkot now in December.
8 days?
Well, that Sukkot's an 8-day holiday. That's not supposed to be the surprise. Sukkot's a week-long holiday. Plus Shmini Atzeret makes the 8-day, whatever, that's a whole. But again, Sukkot is generally an 8-day holiday. So here we go. We have the story from around 2,200 years ago where, again, everything checks out. They put the temple back together. The oil happens for 8 days. They are celebrating Sukkot. 600 years later, the rabbis come in and say, we're missing a little bit of theological magic. The Maccabees were proud of themselves. They did God's work. It's not like God is not in that story, but God did not really act in that story. The brute and the might of the Maccabees was what kind of carried them through. And then the rabbis coming in 6 centuries later said, we need a little more God. What? So we're going to name it, well, Hanukkah comes from the term Hanukkah means dedication. That's in the original text. So the term Hanukkah, Chag Orim, the Festival of Lights, that's original back in the book of Maccabees. But again, the big tweak that the rabbis add 600 years later is this miracle. And so we have pretty much the same point of like start and finish of what happens. Great, we have the temple back and we're running and they're lighting for 8 days, but there's like one kind of like major difference in the stories, and yet history continues. And here we are, and then it's now. Yeah, exactly. The old story did not test well with the focus groups, and so we have worked out with our communications department in the 5th century in Babylonia, and Babylonian marketing firms said, we need a miracle, everyone. I like this. I can go with cynicism. This is fun with me, too. So again, this idea of we have kind of two tracks. We have a start point. We kind of end up in the same point, but just with differing opinions of how we get there. And I really find that in this time of year, where many people are thinking of like, what did we do in 2024? What were our highlights? What were our lowlights? Everyone's getting ready for their New Year's resolutions they will forget about by February 1st. Everyone is getting ready for this kind of turnover and a new leaf in a new year, all these kinds of things that we are kind of focusing on. In this past year, for many people, there was sadness and loneliness and hunger and war and mental health issues and all of those negative pieces and divisiveness. And for others, this is a year of gratitude and joy, of new life or new friends or new community, some personal gains, community milestones. There is a lot of, like, in the spectrum of humanity, there has been so much that has happened in this last year. So how do we tell the story of 2024? We kind of have a start point and an end point, and how we got from there to here. You and I, we have kind of two different stories and tales of that. But again, on these two kind of dueling paths that kind of come together. And I think for me, as I kind of think about this beautiful Shabbat and hoping for us for a restful day ahead in our community as we prepare for the Festival of Lights for Hanukkah to happen, that we need these Hanukkah candles this year. We need them to bring us closer to our loved ones and to our friends. And we can use them to seek joy and purpose and shining a light on the deep darkness in our world wherever we may find it. We as a people, we thrive in this complexity. This is like, I don't know, for some people, this idea of two such very differing opinions of the world would be mind-blowing to them to the point they just couldn't function. And for us Jews, we're like, okay, great. So our rabbis argued with the people who were kind of sort of almost there. That's fine. We do that all the time.
Can I throw in a fact for Hanukkah?
Yes.
So first, Rabbi Foster, my teacher in Hebrew school, taught me the real way how to say Hanukkah, what they say in Israel is Hanukkah.
Hanukkah, yeah, okay.
And so...
Want to give a shout out to your teacher? Who's your teacher?
Miss Melnick.
Miss Melnick?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I just wanted to throw in that fact.
Okay, so the Chanukia is the technical name for the menorah.
Yeah.
Menorah is a generic term for a lamp, so that's like a square rectangle kind of thing. All Chanukiot are menorahs, not all menorahs are Chanukiot. Okay, cool. I dig it. Thank you. In conclusion, you can come anytime you want. You can say, what was I saying? Something about thriving, complexity. Okay, we thrive in the complexities that encompass the stories and questions that our people have cherished and passed from generation to generation for millennia. And as we celebrate this beautiful holiday this week, I pray that we continue to find that love and comfort in knowing that our people's story is still being told, even if we can't always agree on how it happened. Shabbat Shalom. What page are we going to?
282.
282. We rise for Aleinu L'Shabeach, 282 and then 287.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latei kedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
287.
V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai, L'melech al kol ha'aretz, Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo, echad.
You may be seated. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. In our Kol Emeth community this week, we're thinking of all those who we are still in that first year of mourning, this 11-month Kaddish period. James Corley, David Rechtman, Judith Siegel, Norman Spitzer, Joanne Hankins, Helene Holtzman, Barbara Rubin Piesik, Mark Newerman, Edith Meininger, Jerry Livingston, Bob Kershaw, Alan Eisen, Patty Savage, Norma Plattner, Philip Meal, Rodney Scott Cohen, Kitty Cohen, Layla Kamener, Richard Barker, Deborah Brand-Singerman, Paul Zale, Joseph Jerome Cantor, Marjorie Romes, Jerry Frost, and Frank Strauss. We also think now of those whose this is their yahrzeit, their anniversary of their death. Harold Cohen, Bernadette Collins, Israel Maurice Fari, Cecil Gordon, George Hale, Barbara Hober, Eunice Janko, Leah Katz, Milton Kay, Richard L. Klauber, Rochelle Kowal, Arthur Irwin Ormond, Louis Savrin, Edward Schuster, Ruth Allen Tabor, Evelyn Vinicor, Bill Wilson. If you have a name of someone, or if I've mispronounced the name of a loved one and you'd like to share that name with the community, you may do so at this time. In our community, we rise to support our mourners as we recite Kaddish on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach rutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon v'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agalav izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu. Le'lamin kol birchata v'shirata, tushvichata v'nechemata, tamiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May all of their memories be an enduring blessing, to which we say, amen. You may be seated. Have the honor of inviting up our congregational president, Sandy Davis, for some announcements. Come on down. She needs your microphone. Sorry. Dun, 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 dun.
Shabbat Shalom. Okay. The price is wrong. If you're going to be in town next week, join us for a special Hanukkah kickoff celebration on December 25th. Enjoyed in the most stereotypical of ways with delicious Chinese food and a movie to watch. Of course, we will be lighting the first Hanukkah candle together as well. There'll be dinner, safganiot, donuts, and movie snacks. Please register by Monday, December 23rd at noon, and you can vote for the movie you want to watch as well. Then join WRJ on Sunday night, December 29th at 7 p.m. to light Hanukkah candles with friends in the social hall. Bring your menorah and candles. We will have more jelly donuts and hot chocolate to enjoy. Open to all members of the community. RSVP online, please. Please note that the TKE office will be closed from December 25th through January 1st. To give our staff and clergy some very much deserved break. Please join us for Oneg following services. Shabbat Shalom.
So, Kiddush and Motzi. You want me to do Kiddush and you do Motzi, or do you want Kiddush and I'll do Motzi?
I'll do Motzi.
You do Motzi? Okay, cool, great. I think like page 2 or something like that if you'd like to join in, but... Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen l'chaim.
Hamotzi lehem in
Haaretz. We give thanks to God for Challah.
Thanks, God.
Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, v'te'avon. Big Yasher Koach, big ups. Really amazing for Riley to be able to join me. Not the last time, I'm sure. And please feel free to join us for Oneg and Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom. Hine matov u'manahim, hine matov u'manahim, she'eved ha'akim gam yachad. How good, how sweet, when we live in peace. How good, how sweet, when we live in peace. Everyone, everywhere, round the world.